Hola, muy buenos días, good morning, and hello to everyone. Welcome to Cafecito con HACE. I hope you are staying well and focused on what you can control. My name is Patricia Mota, and I am serving as President and CEO of HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement. We are a national nonprofit organization whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the pipeline of Latinx talent, providing our community the insight, access, and development to be successful in their careers. If this is your first cafecito, welcome to the HACE Familia. For those of us joining us, welcome back. We love to engage with you. Let's hear you in the chat in terms of where you're tuning in from. What's your cafecito of choice? We're going to get into all of those great questions with our guests today. A couple things regarding HACE. If you are looking for your next career opportunity, in transition, want to connect with a lot of our great corporate partners, employers that we work with, sign up for free for the virtual career fair taking place at the end of this month, September 29th. So find that information on our website. We'll be able to sign up there for free and connect you with employers that day. And if you don't know, next week is Hispanic Heritage Month. And so HACE will be doing a series of events pre-launching, I should say, because Hispanic Heritage Month starts on September 15th. We'll be pre-launching on September 14th of virtual events. And so you have the opportunity to sign up yourself virtually, and we'll drop that link in the chat as well. Or if you want to host a watch party at your own employer, your company, if you guys haven't planned anything yet, leverage HACE. It's for free to be able to do that. And so check out the information on the website, and we hope to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with you all. Now, our special guest. So we have one of our alum. I know we got to hear from some of our others that joined us recently from the Mujeres de HACE, first ever Latinas in Tech cohort. We have Mina Rabideaux, who is also a global ERG program director at one of our partners, Avanade, and wears multiple hats because she's also on our Chicago Auxiliary Board, serving there as well, helping promote marketing initiatives. Mina, we're going to get to learn more about you. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. Thank you. I'm also very much looking forward to Hispanic Heritage Month.
We all are, Mina, and we're getting to get to know you, our Cafecito con HACE guests. We want to have your questions ready, so drop them in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But most importantly, as we ask all of our guests, Mina, how do you prefer your cafecito or your morning beverage of choice?
I've got my coffee ready, Patricia. I love coffee. If I'm at home, I like hot coffee, cream and sugar. But if I'm out, I'm more of a cold brew. Here in Chicago, I love La Colombe, Phil's, and Blue Bottle.
Nice. If you agree with Mina, let's hear from you in the chat in terms of your choices. I know we have some non-coffee drinkers, surprisingly, for us coffee lovers, Mina. They do exist, right? I know we have that as well in the audience. And so, Mina, one of the things that I love about Cafecito is that we get to share awareness in terms of the different stories that we have of folks represented through the HACE Familia in terms of cultural background, in terms of how we choose to identify. There's so much diversity and richness. And also because being a career development, leadership development organization, sharing how is it that you got to your role today, and especially in a field that there's not much representation of women, of people of, BIPOC community, from different communities that are underrepresented. So tell us about you and how you got to where you are.
Absolutely. I think my cultural background really shapes me. It shapes who I am, how I show up, and I usually refer to it at work as my diverse perspective. So that's how you can kind of have those conversations. So culturally, I am both Native American and Mexican. On my native side, my tribe is Ojibwe. We're located up in northern Wisconsin. And on my Mexican side, my family is from Michoacan. So that's my cultural background. Another big part of me that shapes my identity is that I am a first in many ways. And I'm sure many of you with your cafecitos at home can relate to that, but I was one of the first in my family to graduate from high school. the first to go to college, the first to graduate, the first to be in tech, the first to be in corporate. And that's a really big responsibility on a young person. It's a lot of pressure. But now, as I'm quite a few years into my career, I'm really grateful for how it's molded me, the emotional endurance that I have to kind of carry a family's legacy forward and be that piece of hope, and bring now all of my other cousins and even older family along on this career journey so we can all better ourselves. So that's a big part of me.
I think emotional endurance should be a hashtag, right? I think, first generation, many of our folks tuning in can relate to that. And I think one thing personally as well as being a first gen, graduate in my family, and is that responsibility, right? That you just shared in terms of to others in your family, but most importantly, those that paved the way for you, your parents and those that came before you, is something that I hold so dearly. And so I love hearing that. I know many of you tuning in, please share let's hear from our first gen gen folks in the chat as well. And Mina, your career, so in the tech field.
The tech fields, man, I've had such a varied career at this point. I'm only 6 years in and still figuring out what I want to do. I'm someone who loves to work. So finding that dream job was really important to me, and it's taken me a long time to find that, and I'm always working towards it. So I have a degree in economics from Loyola Chicago and started my career in Big Four consulting. That was the best possible training experience I could have had, working with the best of the best. But I slowly felt a pull to have a more data-focused role and get into tech. I did boot camps. I invested a lot of time in self-training and got my first data analyst role, which kind of snowballed after that. So I'd encourage, if anyone's interested in tech, it's a really accessible field in that a lot of us are self-taught and made that career transition. So I joined Avanade about 4 years ago. I just had my 4-year anniversary as the North America Marketing Analytics Lead. So I was helping them really quantify their marketing ROI. I was also helping empower our leaders with data, and I really enjoyed that. And where I find myself now is in inclusion and diversity. I think for many of you on the call that remember the equity reckoning we went through in 2020, right, led by the Black Lives Matter movement. I and many others felt the call to do even more. I was no longer okay with just having my corporate analytics job. So I founded my Latinx CRG at my company along with some other fabulous women. And when the time came for us to expand our inclusion and diversity practice at Avanade, I was tapped to take that on. So I'm still very new in my role, learning, but really loving it.
That's amazing. And I know that was shared and at least announced at the graduation that we had for the Mujeres de HACE Tech cohort in terms of your new role that happened. And so congratulations on that, and congratulations on your 4-year milestone at Avanade. It's been great working with Avanade as a partnership. So there's a lot that we get to do throughout the year with this partnership. But specifically, and many of you have tuned in before, you're familiar, you may have heard of our Mujeres de HACE Women's Leadership Program. It's been around since 2008. We have a lot of great alumni across the world, I should say, because now we have a global footprint. But last year, we had the opportunity through our partners at NBC Universal, Comcast, Telemundo, to launch a tech-specific cohort. So this is a group of Mujeres de HACE that came together from tech backgrounds. So, and Mina, you got to be part of this inaugural cohort. Can you tell us about your experience, key tech takeaways, and just advice for those that are looking for that support? Perhaps they're in a field or an industry that they feel isolated or they're the only one in terms of folks, in terms of how they identify. Let us share your thoughts.
Absolutely. Yeah, audience, let us know in the chat, +1 if you felt that sense of isolation at work or seeking out that community. As a woman of color in tech, like Patricia said, it can be really lonely and hard to find that comunidad. So the Mujeres de HACE Leadership Program is just that. It's a leadership program for women of color. And this was special in that it was tech. So we all related on so many levels. that allowed us to get really personal. It was a more intimate program, I'd say, than others I've participated in. Key takeaways for us was reconciling, I think, who we were as leaders. What does it mean to be a Latina or a Latina leader? And, what does maybe the corporate environment teach us or want us to be? And who are we culturally? What are our preferences? And how do we kind of bring those together? And saying that we don't need to assimilate just to that corporate mold, but we are valuable. We have strengths, our preferences, and our style, how we show up is a strength and it's a beauty. So I think that was a big part of the program. But we also learned about those key leadership aspects of business where it's, negotiation, working on your personal brand, how to get comfortable selling yourself. It was just a wonderful program. Everything that AHCE does is really top notch. The facilitators in the program were great, and I think I'll keep those connections for years to come.
That's wonderful. And Mina, you also get to lead at AHCE through serving on the local auxiliary board. And so our auxiliary boards, for those of you tuning in, are an opportunity to really put forth the mission that AHCE is promoting locally through advocacy, through ambassadorship, through fundraising, and really building that connection and awareness of what AHCE is doing. And so Mina, can you share a little bit about what you're doing there? And if folks are local, because I know you're local to Chicago, ways that they can get involved?
Absolutely. One of my goals after attending the AHCE Mas conference was to join a board. So that's something I was inspired to do after the conference in the spring. And when this opportunity came up, really jumped at it and was excited. I think having board experience is really great for your resume. And it teaches you things that you just don't get from your typical workplace. Working on a nonprofit board is totally different. So I'd encourage anyone who's looking to seek out a board role. And in Chicago, we are looking for additional members on our aux board. So I'd love to talk to you if that's something you're interested in. On the board, we're looking to be that number one nonprofit serving Latino professionals in Chicago and serving the Latino community. So we'll host all different types of events like Patricia touched on, but we're also just trying to make careers more accessible for the Latinx professional.
Yeah, I think boards, programs like Mujeres de HACE, organizations like HACE are great opportunities to really build community and to network. I think as so much change has happened, as Mina, with your story, for example, you're saying, I was able to find a role where I can give back and focus more on the equity piece because of everything that's happened, right? I think many of us are in that state right now. We've heard from a lot of members. And so leveraging organizations like an AHCE to really build that connection and those networks to help you find that meaningful work, right? That I think we all need to be able to, that's rewarding, but also those meaningful networks so that if and when you're looking for a transition or a next opportunity or a coach, you're a phone call, they are a phone call away, right? I think that's one key that I've seen consistently with a lot of our guests is mentioning, the relationships, the networks. And so critical. We have time for a question or two. So if you can drop it in the chat, we'll be able to connect and have any questions. I do want to share, because a popular question that we do get all the time, Mina, is regarding those that are looking to transition in the equity, inclusion, diversity space. You've been able to do that. So how about folks that are tuning in that are interested to get into this type of work of DEI? Your title has ERG. So for those of you that may not be familiar, it stands for Employee Resource Groups. Some companies call them affinity groups, business resource groups. Give us some advice.
Absolutely. It's the number one question I get at this stage of my career as well, is how do I get into it? I'd say, you can do it, but don't be discouraged, because this is not a brand new field, but it's new in the sense that companies are really investing in it for the first time over the last couple of years. So that is excellent. And know that means a lot of people in DEI, in inclusion and diversity, they don't have 20 years of experience. They're also just getting into it. So lean into that diverse perspective that we talked about at the start. the diverse perspective that you bring, that's a huge strength, no matter what that may be. And also think about what are some of those soft skills or leadership skills that are those transferable skills into this type of role. It's definitely delivery skills, program and project management. It's also how to lead programs, deal with C-suite stakeholders. So all of those skills are really what you need to get into DEI. You also need a genuine passion for the work. So I'd say, reach out to people in your network who already have these roles. Don't be discouraged or feel like you can't make it if you don't have those 20 years of experience. And I think that right role will come along.
Absolutely. So again, tapping into the network of folks that are in those roles. ASA is a great one. I mean, we have a lot of folks like Mina, that a lot of our partners, right, that we're working directly with that are DEI leaders in various roles. The other key thing, it's an evolving, but there's a big focus and emphasis now, right? And so I think that's the other opportunity that you shared, that you mentioned. And one thing, just not only for DEI, but that you talked about that is applicable across the board, is what are those transferable skills that you have when making that move into a different specific role, industry, and asking folks around you that can consult and help you with that as well. And so I know we have a few minutes left with our Cafecito charlas. Fatima, bienvenida, welcome. Your question is, what are ways to get involved? So it could be the Oxboard, it could be the what do you interpret that as, that question, Mina? How you want to respond?
I'll take it as, we have Hispanic Heritage Month coming up. This is a Latinx word. How can you get involved with giving back to your community? I think it can be really intimidating to want to help but not know where to start. So lean on organizations like ACE. If you're at your company, look at what type of corporate citizenship, volunteer initiatives do they have? Can you help as a +1 role, right? Look at your company's ERGs, BRGs. Look at nonprofits. What type of leadership roles might they have? Whether you're more junior, a lot of orgs have junior boards that you can join. If you're more senior, they have those board of director roles. So just know that those opportunities are out there, and organizations really need the help. They need that next generation of leaders to come in and step up and start doing the work. So I'd say start to reach out, start to leverage your network, but also look at what are you genuinely passionate about. You don't have to fix the world. Think about what are those couple of causes that are really important to you. For me, that is educational equity and women of color, right? So that's where I spend my time volunteering, and I have a focus towards that.
I think it's so important that you said you don't have to fix the world because many of us feel that way quite a bit lately, right? And through a lot of conversations I've been having, it's like, we need to do this. How can we do this? How can we fix that? How can we? And to your point is how do you really narrow in on the things that you're passionate about, focus areas, and knowing what you can give, right? And being realistic in terms of time. I always, the time, talents, and treasures. The time that you can give, your own expertise areas that you can give, and then if you can give financially, right? Those are all ways that we can give and make a difference. And so we are so appreciative, Mina. Folks can get a hold of you through LinkedIn. And connect with Mina there as well. And we like to wrap up with our guests is, what are you most hopeful for, or a positive story that gives you hope?
I am hopeful to get back in person. My fall wardrobe is calling my name. The suits are ready. I want to get back to engaging with the community this fall. We've been at home for so long, and I'm really eager to get back to grab a cafecito live, to go to happy hour, to go to a work or community event, and just have that face-to-face connection. So I'm excited to attend those things, but also create them for the communities that I lead.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Next week is Hispanic Heritage Month. There will be tons of in-person events happening. Check how you can engage with ACE for Hispanic Heritage Month. Mina, I look forward to seeing you in person soon as well. And many of you out there, thank you for joining us, Mina, and for your time. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Please continue to engage, network in the chat. Y hasta la próxima. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, gracias.
Thank you.